Have you ever noticed that the greatest moments in life happen when you least expect them? That the answers you've been desperately searching for often appear in the quietest of moments? We live in a world that glorifies noise, constant talking, endless opinions, and the need to always have the last word. But what if I told you that true power lies in silence? That when you stop chasing, stop forcing, and simply allow things to unfold, life has a way of delivering exactly what you need. Tonight, I invite you to take a step back, to embrace the stillness, because when you do, you'll discover that silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. Stay with me as we explore how staying silent can transform your mind, your relationships, and your success. And by the end of this speech, you may never see silence the same way again. Silence, it's one of the most overlooked yet powerful forces in the world. It carries weight, it holds meaning, and it has the ability to shift everything in your life if you allow it. But most people don't understand its power. They rush to fill every moment with words, with explanations, with noise, believing that the louder they speak, the more control they have. But the truth is, real control, real influence comes when you learn to be silent. Think about the most powerful moments in your life. Were they filled with words, or was it the space between them that made them meaningful? When someone truly sees you, when they understand you without you having to explain yourself, isn't that one of the deepest connections you can experience? That's the power of silence. It creates space for truth to reveal itself, for emotions to settle, and for wisdom to rise. We live in a world that moves fast, a world that pressures us to respond instantly, to always have an answer, to always be in control of the conversation. But when you're always speaking, you're not listening. And when you're not listening, you're missing out on the most valuable information life is trying to give you. Every great thinker, every wise leader, every truly successful person knows this. Silence is a teacher. It's where clarity comes from. I've sat in rooms where everyone was talking, filling the space with opinions, arguments, voices trying to prove themselves. And I've also sat in rooms where someone simply listened without interruption, without the need to respond immediately. Let me tell you something, when that person finally speaks, everybody listens, because silence gives your words weight. It gives them meaning, and it makes people pay attention. But beyond that, silence is a tool for you. It allows you to observe, to understand not just what is being said, but what is not being said. When you stop talking and start paying attention, you begin to notice things you never did before. You see people's intentions. You recognize opportunities that were always there, but hidden beneath the noise. And most importantly, you hear your own voice. The one that gets drowned out when you're too busy filling the air with words. There was a time in my life when I thought speaking up meant proving myself, that if I stayed silent, I would be overlooked, that I would lose my place in the conversation. But what I learned is that the opposite is true. The more I embraced silence, the more I understood, the more I listened, the wiser I became. And the more I allowed things to unfold naturally, the more life brought me exactly what I needed. Silence is not weakness. It's not about withholding your thoughts or suppressing your voice. It's about knowing when to speak and when to listen. It's about understanding that words are powerful, but only when they are used with intention. It's about trusting that sometimes the best response is no response at all. So the next time you feel the urge to fill the space, to jump in, to prove your point, pause. Let the silence do its work. Let it guide you, teach you, and reveal to you what truly matters. Because when you stay silent, everything comes to you naturally. One of the greatest skills you can ever develop in life is the ability to listen. Not just hear, but truly listen. And yet, most people don't do it. They think they're listening, but what they're really doing is waiting for their turn to speak, preparing their response before the other person has even finished talking. They're so focused on what they want to say next that they miss everything that's being said in the moment. But real listening, deep listening, is a gift. It's a form of respect. It's a way of telling someone, I see you, I hear you, you matter. And when you give that to people, something remarkable happens. They open up, they trust you, they let you in. I've been in conversations where people talked at me, filling every second with words, never stopping to check if I was even with them. And I've been in conversations where someone sat in front of me and listened, not to respond, not to debate, but just to understand. And those are the conversations I remember, because in those moments I felt seen. And I know every single one of you has had that experience. Listening is a superpower. It allows you to hear what's beyond the words, to pick up. We live in a world that rewards speed. Everything is instant results, instant gratification, instant responses. There's this idea that if you're not moving fast, if you're not constantly chasing, you're somehow falling behind. But here's the truth. What is meant for you will not require you to force it. When you stop rushing, when you stop trying to control every little detail, life has a way of unfolding exactly as it should. Patience is not about doing nothing. It's about understanding that some things take time, that the best things in life cannot be rushed. Think about nature. Trees don't force themselves to grow faster. Rivers don't struggle to reach the ocean. The sun doesn't hurry to rise. And yet everything happens at the right time. But we as humans often try to push, to demand, to control, thinking that if we don't, things won't happen for us. How many times have you seen someone chase after something so desperately? A job, a relationship, an opportunity, only to end up exhausted, frustrated, and empty-handed. That's because when you force something that isn't meant to be, it slips through your fingers. But when you trust the timing of your life, when you learn to wait with grace instead of fear, what is truly yours will come to you effortlessly. I've had moments in my life where I wanted something so badly, I could feel it in my bones. And I tried to make it happen on my own timeline. I pushed, I planned, I convinced myself that if I just worked harder, moved faster, spoke louder, it would come. But it didn't. And in those moments, I had a choice. I could either keep forcing it, or I could step back, breathe, and trust. And every time I chose patience, every time I surrendered control, things worked out even better than I had imagined. There's a peace that comes with knowing you don't have to chase what's already on its way to you. That doesn't mean you don't work hard, that you don't show up and do your part. It just means you understand the difference between taking action and forcing something that isn't ready. There's a rhythm to life, and when you learn to move with it instead of against it, everything starts to flow naturally. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where things aren't happening as quickly as you want, instead of panicking, instead of pushing harder, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, am I trying to force this, or am I allowing it to come in its own time? Because the truth is, patience isn't about waiting. It's about how you wait. It's about trusting that when you stay still, when you stay silent, everything you need will come to you naturally. There is something truly powerful about a person who is at peace, someone who doesn't react to every little thing, who isn't easily shaken, who carries themselves with a quiet strength. That kind of presence doesn't come from controlling everything around you. It comes from mastering yourself. It comes from knowing that not everything requires your response, your energy, or your emotions. It comes from understanding that silence is sometimes the greatest form of power. The world will test you, people will challenge you, situations will arise that try to pull you into chaos. And in those moments, you have a choice. You can react out of frustration, out of fear, out of anger, or you can take a step back, breathe, and decide how you want to show up. That's self-control, that's inner peace. And the people who have it, they don't just survive difficult situations, they rise above them. It's easy to get caught up in the noise. It's easy to feel like you have to defend yourself, explain yourself, prove yourself. But the truth is, the most powerful people don't waste time arguing. They don't let someone else's words dictate their emotions. They don't hand over their peace so easily. Instead, they stay silent. They listen. They observe, and when they finally do speak, they do so with intention, with clarity, and with purpose. There was a time when I thought being strong meant standing up for myself in every situation, making sure my voice was heard no matter what. But what I've learned is that true strength isn't in the response, it's in the restraint. It's in knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the talking, because silence is not a weakness, it's not avoidance, it's wisdom. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who carry themselves with dignity and grace. They are not the loudest in the room. They are not the ones trying to prove a point every second. They are the ones who know that their peace is their power. And because of that, they don't let anyone take it away from them. So the next time you feel the urge to react, to defend, to respond to something that disrupts your peace, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my peace? Because when you learn to control your emotions, when you learn to sit in silence instead of reacting, that's when you truly understand the power of inner peace. And when you have that, everything comes to you naturally. There's a kind of freedom that comes when you stop trying to control everything. When you finally let go of the need to force outcomes, to make things happen exactly the way you think they should, life starts to unfold in ways you never imagined. But letting go isn't always easy. We hold on because we think if we don't, we'll lose something, an opportunity, a relationship, a sense of certainty. But what if the very act of holding on is what's keeping us from receiving what is truly meant for us? We've been taught that if we want something, we have to go after it with everything we have, push through every obstacle, make it happen no matter what. And while hard work and determination are valuable, there's another side to success that doesn't get talked about as much. The ability to surrender, to trust, to allow. Because sometimes the tighter we grip, the more we push things away. Think about the moments in your life when something beautiful happened naturally. When an unexpected opportunity appeared, when a relationship deepened effortlessly, when things just seemed to align perfectly without you having to force them. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when you create space for life to work in your favor instead of trying to control every little detail. But the mind doesn't like uncertainty. It wants guarantees. It wants answers. It wants to know that if you take this step, you will get that result. And when things don't go according to plan, the mind panics. It starts questioning, overthinking, doubting. But here's what I've learned. The best things in life often come when you release that need for control and trust the process. There was a time when I thought I had to have everything figured out. I planned, I strategized, I tried to control every outcome. But what I realized was that no matter how much I planned, life had its own timing, its own rhythm. And when I finally let go of the need to control everything, things started to flow. The right opportunities found me. The right people came into my life. And the things that weren't meant for me, they fell away effortlessly. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you stop working toward your dreams or that you sit back and wait for things to happen. It simply means you stop resisting. You stop forcing. You trust that what is truly meant for you will never pass you by. So when you find yourself struggling, when you feel like you're holding on too tightly, take a deep breath and loosen your grip. Let go of the need to control. Ever hears the expanded segment for Key Point 6 written in a seamless and conversational tone. Success is not always about the loudest voice in the room. It's not about constantly proving yourself, forcing things to happen, or pushing your way forward. The most successful people understand something that many overlook. Sometimes the greatest power is in stillness. It's in knowing when to step back, when to observe, when to allow things to come to you instead of always chasing after them. There's a misconception that if you're not always talking, always making moves, always putting yourself out there, you'll be forgotten. But think about the people who command the most respect. The ones who walk into a room, say very little, but when they do speak, every single person listens. That's not because they filled the space with noise. It's because they mastered the art of presence. They understand that real power doesn't come from how much you say, but from the weight of the words you choose to speak. Opportunities come to those who are prepared, yes, but also to those who have the patience to recognize the right moment. When you are always moving, always talking, always trying to control the outcome, you miss the subtle signals life is sending you. You miss the moments where the door is already open because you're too busy trying to force your way through the wrong one. There have been times in my life when I wanted something so badly that I felt I had to push for it. I had to make it happen. And in that pushing, in that trying, I exhausted myself. But the moments that truly changed my life, they came in the stillness. They came when I was silent enough to listen. They came when I stopped chasing and started trusting. This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It doesn't mean you wait for success to land in your lap. It means you move with intention. You understand that not every opportunity is meant for you. Not every battle needs to be fought. Not every moment requires you to prove yourself. It means you trust that what is meant for you will recognize you. It will be drawn to you, not because you forced it, but because you were ready for it when it arrived. There is an ease that comes with this understanding, a sense of peace, a quiet confidence that tells the world, I know who I am. I don't need to rush. I don't need to fight for a seat at the table. The table that is meant for me will find me. And when you carry that kind of energy, doors open, people take notice. Success in whatever form you seek starts to flow toward you instead of you always feeling like you have to chase it. So when you find yourself feeling the need to prove, to force, to control, pause, breathe, trust, because the success that is truly yours will never require you to lose yourself in the process of getting it. And when you stay silent, when you stay still, everything you need comes to you naturally. Wise step. Because when you do, you make room for something greater. And when you allow life to unfold naturally, everything you've been searching for will come to you in ways you never expected.